Welcome everybody to this week's Healthcare Careers in Focus. Today we're going to be looking at apprenticeships in the NHS. We are joined today by Bhvana, who works as a physiotherapy apprentice. Hello, thank you for joining us today.
Hello, good morning, Kate. Thanks. Yeah.
So can you just tell us what your sort of official job title is and where do you work at the moment?
Yeah, so my official title is Senior Physiotherapy Assistant, and as well as now I'm doing physio apprenticeship, so I'm calling physio apprentice as well at work. Yeah, and yeah, I'm working in EPUT at the moment and working in different hospital plus community as well.
So EPUT is a mental health trust, isn't it?
Yeah, mental health, sir. Yeah.
So the areas that you work in, are they all sort of mental health services?
Yeah, mainly mental health services. Yeah, mental health. Yes, so like you can say dementia and yeah, depression, anxiety, kind of different sort of like patient I have, and different age categories as well in that, and plus community as well at times when it's needed. Yeah.
Lovely, thank you. So could you tell us a little bit about your career journey? So how did you end up on a physiotherapist apprenticeship?
Yeah, I'll briefly tell it. It's a long story, but yeah, I joined NHS Trust in 2018. Before that, I was working in school as a teaching assistant because previous I have a degree from Masters in Physical Education from India. And somehow, because I was looking after children, I didn't pursue my career in that field. So I left that job, and one of my senior member, she introduced to NHS, and she said, you can start as a bank and you can do physio assistant job over in NHS. And I'm just thinking, no, but I don't have any qualification about that. She said, no, in bank and you as assistant, you can do without qualification as well. And you have a good kind of understanding about exercises because due to physical education, my background is very good in terms of telling people what exercise to do and all that. So yes, I joined as a bank staff in 2018. And honestly, I was very surprised when I gave interview. Interview went very well, but I was not sure that I will get the job. And then I got the job and I was looking myself, I was like, Bhvana, how you got this job? But when I started working as a assistant, and I know that there are so many areas where I was thinking, oh, I have a deeper knowledge, but due to my limitation of a scope of practice, I couldn't able to do certain kind of clinical reasoning. I can't provide my justification regarding doing my treatment because I have to follow whatever the qualified staffs are telling me. And during the COVID period time, it was really, really needed because shortage of staff. And I was like, when I'm doing my intervention, but I can't do proper like my kind of clinical reason. I can't give, I have to follow other person, and the other person is on phone or away from the ward because due to COVID period, you know that everybody can't come to the work. And that time I said, wish I have this degree and then I can at least do my job properly. So that's why that time it was 2018. So I was always asking my manager, is there any possibility I can pursue my degree? And that time it was not introduced in my EPUT area physio apprenticeship degree. It was in what you call, it was on place that in future they will introduce. But I was waiting, and that time I was also thinking I'll leave my job and do my master's in physiotherapy from the university. But then same time I was thinking I want to support my family as well in terms of financial condition as well, because yes, COVID period time, everybody is like bit kind of short of different. So I want to support my family. So I just left like that. And after 2 years, my manager come to that, okay, we are doing apprenticeship in 2022. Would you interested to participate in that and giving interview? And I say, yes, that's a good opportunity for me. So yeah, that's how I started my journey for apprenticeship. I gave interview in ePort where internally they do interview, but same time there was some bit kind of challenges initially because I have done my A levels from India, and that A levels are not equivalent to what I'm done over here. So for especially for maths and English, I have to do again A levels, which was
so you had to retake your maths and English,
maths and English test because of the people those who are coming from abroad. Some schools are equivalent, what you call equivalent to what they do over here. But because of my school where I've done in India, that equivalent is not there. They compare that kind of course, and I just say, okay. So it was a big challenge for me. You can imagine, as a mature student, for me, it was a big challenge to do A-level kind of stuff. And I have only 2 months. And before that, I've done interview with EPUT. So EPUT didn't ask me to do those A-levels. But as soon as I went for interview in university, the interview went very well. I got selected, but I think they compare in university. And that's how I came to know, okay, your place is secure. Only you have to complete A-level for maths and English. And that was a
Was
big
it A
challenge.
level or was it GCSE?
Oh, sorry, GCSE.
Yes, it was
GCSE.
GCSE. That's fine.
GCSE,
So
not
it's
the A-level.
GCSE maths and English, isn't it?
Yeah,
Or I think
GCSE
it's a
maths
level
and
2 functional skills equivalent you have to have, isn't it?
So GCSE, yes, absolutely, Kat, is good. You correct me. So that was GCSE, and I have only 2 months of period of time to complete that.
Gosh,
And
that's
you,
quite quick.
it was a bit kind of intense, and you know that your place is secure in university, but there is kind of some kind of limitation on that. Yeah, until you will not clear your GCSE and A level, sorry, GCSE for maths and English, you can't come to the university. So yeah, I was like, and starting my within 2 months, I joined some courses, and my son is doing physics astronomy from university. He helped a lot for maths.
Give him
So
some
I get help
coaching.
from, yeah, everywhere. And then for English as well, my son, my daughter, they help me, because after, when you have a gap in education or in a job, it is hard to again start from the scratch. So I was like, okay. And that's how within 2 months, I complete my A levels. Privately, I apply for that. I got the certificate, and yeah, and then I started in 2022, September, I started my apprenticeship.
So even though EPUT said yes, they're happy for you to do a physiotherapy apprenticeship, you had to do like an interview with the university just to make sure you had the
Yeah.
right skill to do the academic side of the apprenticeship. Is
Academic
that right?
side,
Yeah.
yes, it is very
Yeah.
important. And I think for interview, always make sure whatever you write in your statement, because sometimes we are writing a statement, something else. When we are going to uni, we talk something about, but always make sure whatever you write in a statement and whatever you provide to university, you stick with those, and then tell the background about why you write that statement. Because they definitely ask you little bit, you have knowledge about anatomy, pathophysiology, which is not too much. But then what are the NHS, our kind of rules? What is the six rules which you have to follow? So those kind of things you have to be mindful
Yes,
when you're
because
giving interview.
it's very value based, isn't it? As
Value
well as
based,
that kind
yeah,
of
yeah,
academic knowledge. And I
yeah.
guess as well, they really want to know that you have a passion to follow through with the
Follow through.
studying as well. So they kind of
Yeah,
check your motivations, don't they, of why
yeah.
you're actually applying. So
Apply,
going
yeah.
back to the bank work, so bank work is not like a regular contract, is it? With bank work, you sign on to the bank system or
System, yeah.
relief system, don't you?
System,
Which I
yeah.
think is it NHS professionals?
Yes, this is for NHS
Yeah,
professionals, and it's on needed basis they will call you. If
yeah.
they don't need a staff, definitely they don't call you that can come and work. But this is like ongoing basis. Like if they have a shortage of a staff or any area where they need the staff, they will
Yeah, so
put
they
you over
don't, you don't
there.
have a regular rota. You sort of let them
No,
know your availability and they'll phone up and
availability.
say, we have a shift tomorrow. Are you available? And they
Yeah,
book you in, don't
book
they?
you in there.
So
Yeah.
when you worked on the bank staff, did you work specifically as a physiotherapy assistant support worker, or did you work within other roles within that?
No, I work as a, like I mentioned, like senior physiotherapy assistant. So
Yeah.
that kind of role I was following the whatever the qualified staffs are assigned duties for me, in terms of, like, suppose I'm providing some kind of rehab exercise to the patient. So those rehab exercise has been done by qualified staff, and the assessment has been done already on that patient. But because we have seen a senior member how to do it and everything on the sheet, and you can follow the certain kind of rule for to providing those exercise. So then at that time I used to do that. Plus I used to do group seated exercises and different kind of walking groups lead for that. So those kind of duties has been assigned as a senior physiotherapy assistant, or you can say support role for assistant. Yeah.
Well, that actually leads us really nicely into kind of what it is that you do as well,
Yeah.
in your current role as a physiotherapy assistant, before we go back into the apprenticeship side. So on a kind of day-to-day basis, what sort of your tasks and responsibilities?
So we have for every area, we have a certain timetable to follow. So every ward, like some ward, we have a gym session as well. So if we have a gym session, we have to follow certain kind of group exercise for one ward. Suppose it's a female ward. So I have to take the patient, and all the patient has been first checked by doctors, clearance given by doctors. Yeah, okay, this patient are suitable to take to the gym. So those kind of things we have to make sure that, and if it's not, that is my job as well. Yes, qualified as well, but you have to check that patient is suitable. Like sometimes patient having a diabetes, high BMI, and their high blood pressure. So everything should be clear by doctor that this patient is suitable. So this kind of very important thing we have to make sure that before taking to the gym. So we have a all kind of very nicely we schedule things and all noted the patient condition and everything. On that basis, we have taking patient to the gym. And if the patient, if sometime patient we are taking to the gym on tailored bed as well. It's not like group only. Sometimes patient needed separately. Some patient doesn't want to come in a group situation. So tailored make program done by qualified staff, and we follow that program, taking patient to the gym. Plus, we have one-to-one patient as well. Suppose patient, as I mentioned earlier, if the qualified staff already assess patient and qualified staff make a talent make program for like exercise, like I'm giving an example. Recently, I have a patient who is having a equinus deformity, which is like a patient just able to stand on her toes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so patient can't mobile, like can't put her heels down, which is like, and it's the reason there are multiple reason happen in terms of physio. I can't go in too much depth, but this is in mental health. What happen when patient is for being a long period of time in the bed, the muscles get shortening, especially calf muscle and all that. Due to that, patient have a deformity of standing on toes. They can't put their heel down. So our qualified staff make a program, make a certain exercises, stretching exercises for them. So those exercises I'm following now. So I'm doing those exercises with those patients. So this is like my kind of role comes. The qualified staff only goes when the initial assessment is there, but the followed kind of things we are doing as assistant, I'm doing mainly those roles here.
Yes, so the physiotherapist, the qualified physiotherapist put together the
Put
program, and
together the
then you
program,
support the patients through that
patient
program,
program, yeah,
with sort of the exercises and the activities that have been
exercises.
recommended.
Yeah,
Ah,
yeah, yeah. So yeah, this is kind of role we are doing. Plus, we have to do notes writing as well, which is I'm mentioning because it's not like I'm doing whatever I've done, but I have write down a detailed, thorough notes when you meet the patient,
mm.
what you have done and everything. So all things you have to mention on daily basis. It's like whenever you have interact with patient, even a small conversation as well you do with patient, you always make sure you have to write it down your notes when you come back and then put entry for that. So yeah, those kind of roles as well we are doing it. Plus uh, sometime auditing as well we are doing. There's a multiple roles we are doing. It's not only like related to this. Sometimes you have to do admin kind of work as well, which is like making the files, which I'm mentioning. You can like email to doctors that okay, this patient is suitable for the gym or not, asking if have a nursing staff something related like a patient condition or something. So we have to answer back to them as well. Or although we have to just talk to qualified staff, but our roles as well come as a assistant as well. We can talk to senior MDT member as well. Yeah.
So do you get involved in like multidisciplinary meetings where you are discussing the progress of patients, or is
No,
that
that
more your notes are written down and the physiotherapist will conduct those
Correct.
meetings?
Yeah, those meeting
Yeah.
physiotherapist. Yeah. As a physio apprentice now I'm attending, but as a senior assistant, I'm not.
Yeah.
No. Yeah, as a apprenticeship, because now I'm about to qualify this, yeah, almost this year, you can say end of this year. So definitely I started
Mm.
attending MDT meeting, but that is only for qualified staff, not for
Yeah.
unqualified. Yeah.
So when you want to look at apprenticeships in the NHS, for example, if you wanted to be a physiotherapist apprenticeship or occupational therapist apprenticeship or an operating department practitioner apprentice, you need to be working within the setting first as
Setting.
a healthcare or senior healthcare assistant or support work or
Yeah,
assistant, don't you? So
it
the reason
is.
you're
Yeah.
able to do your physiotherapy apprenticeship is
Yeah.
because you're working as an assistant within the area, so you're able to carry out the tasks required of the apprenticeship, aren't you?
Apprenticeship. Yeah.
If you weren't working in that area, you couldn't do the activities
No, you
required,
can't
could
do that.
you?
Yeah, because
So
recently I think one
yeah,
staff was asking, and I think he was not working with physio. He's a very, very good kind of, I can say, employee in terms of he's supposed to get the apprenticeship, but due to because he's not working with the physiotherapy department, and there's a mandatory 37.7 hours weekly you have to do it. I think most of the
yeah,
university ask those kind of hours to complete with physiotherapy. So yeah, it's if you are bank staff, you but that's why my journey. I think I'll detract with that certain other thing. So I started as a bank, and then I have started as a 3 days part-time job. When the job comes out, and I apply for those job after bank, I was in means initially it was a bit difficult, as I mentioned. I'm not coming from hospital kind of training previously, so it was initially a bit kind of challenging. I'm not saying very much challenging, but yes, it was a bit challenge for me initially. And then when job come out as a assistant, I apply for permanent role in EPUT, which was again the part-time role. It was not a full-time role. So 1 year I have done part-time, and as soon as the apprenticeship come, the another, luckily, maybe I'm not saying like that, but the another staff, full-time staff left the job. And my manager saying, if Bhavna, you're applying for apprenticeship, you have to complete 37.7 hours. So I have to make you that, give you that role, and the part-time role has been given to another one. So that's how I become a full-time member of the my physiotherapy team, and that's how I got degree,
yeah. I mean,
this
that's another
apprenticeship.
really important point to make, actually. If you're
Yeah,
going to be doing the apprenticeship, you do have to be a minimum of 30 hours, but often they ask 37.5 hours, don't
37.
they? Because you
Yeah,
have to have enough time to complete all the practical elements as well as
elements.
the
Yeah,
the theory elements as well,
elements.
because
Yeah, yeah,
80% of your time is spent, isn't it?
yeah.
Actually learn the job role of a physiotherapist, and then you've got
Physiotherapist.
20% learning. Where
Yeah,
do you do your learning? Is that in university, in lectures, or
yeah.
how does that work?
So, especially for this, because I'm the first cohort in this physiotherapy apprenticeship from EPUT. So, and university as well introduced first time. It was both, we are new in babies, you can say that. So they make us for, especially for physiotherapists, they make a kind of blocks kind of learning. So in first year, we have a 6 blocks. In each blocks, we have a 2 weeks of learning. You have to be in person, go to university. So in first year, I have completed 6 blocks, which you can say how many, maybe 3 or 4 months kind of time, but it's not regular. You have to go attend the university, come back, do your assessment, then 2 months break, then again you have to go to. So first year is what like that. Then second year, I have a 4 blocks. No, yes, I have a 4 blocks of learning where you can do like learning plus like practical sessions as well. As you know, physiotherapy, you have to learn about how to mobilize and all those kind of like all the assessment learning. So that's why it's important to go in person and do learning over there. So practical and theory both are important. So for and this time I'm doing 3 blocks in final year. We are doing 3 blocks. So that's why I'm going next week back to uni. Yeah. So it's a
Yes,
block kind
because
of learning. Yeah.
yeah, so even though it's 20% of your time learning, it doesn't equate to just 1 day a week. They
Very-
combine those hours together, don't they, and give you a
Yeah.
block of learning.
Learning, yeah.
Lovely.
And the
So
best thing, which I'm sorry, Kate, I'm
no, no,
complete forgot before
absolutely.
that, which is really good. And same time, they university asked organization for mandatory to person should have 1 day study leave as well, which helps a lot.
So
honestly,
that's kind of
because
protected time where you can kind of do
protected
your
time. Yeah.
studying. Because
Yeah.
that is one of the downfalls, I guess, of doing the apprenticeship is you are working full time, aren't you? But there is a requirement to do studying, a bit like if you're doing an A level or a BTEC
Yeah.
course or GCSEs,
Yeah.
you have homework, and that's the
Homework. Yeah.
same for you.
Yeah.
Whilst you can study a little bit, you get some protected time
Time
within
as
your
well.
working hours to do studying. You still
Mm.
have to do additional studying at home within your
Home
own
as well. Yeah.
time, don't you, to keep
Time.
up
Yeah.
with the
Yeah.
assessments and
As,
assignments?
yeah, so 1 day a week makes a huge difference. I know it affects service sometime, and I can feel it because it's always there, the shortage of staff. But for me, it's very important because otherwise I can't cope up if I have not 1 day. It is important.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So we talked a lot about your role as an assistant physiotherapist. So what do you do as an apprentice physiotherapist? What are your kind of additional responsibilities on top of your current day-to-day role?
Yeah. So now till first year, I was yes getting more kind of taking initiative on little bit assessment, not fully assessment, but I observed in first year my all the qualified staff wherever they are going because sometimes they are going with another staff member. But as a physiotherapy apprenticeship, they make sure that the apprenticeship should follow how where what kind of assessment we are doing, how we are interact with the patient. Sometimes they are taking us to MDT meeting as well to see how we interact and how we can provide our clinical reasoning to the MDT members. So yeah, first year I have done that, well, little bit extra role, means not only assistant role, but then second year it will progress. You have to again more kind of taking lead in terms of assessment, start doing assessment, not fully assessment until my OSCE has been done. Yes, in second year, I have completed all my practicals, kind of test assessment university. After that, I have to attend placement as well. So once I have done first placement, I start coming back, I start doing assessment as well. So followed by, like I can say, second year, end of second year, I start doing assessment as well now, writing assessment notes as well, attending MDT meeting as well. And now this is the time where I'm attending by myself at MDT meetings, giving my kind of justification about like attending discharge meeting and all that. So yeah, it progress like start with gradually and you progress and you develop confidence slowly basis. Like it's like hands-on learning. You are learning over there and same time you're applying. And which is, I think for me, it makes a huge difference. You know, suddenly you are not like when you do normal education, when they're going on placement, it's this kind of daunting for the student because we have a student coming and they all feel like, oh, what to do, where to do, what to ask. But I think for apprentice, the beauty for apprenticeship is like that because you already have some kind of experience. You have to just little bit more have to come out with your comfort zone and whatever you're learning, you're applying over here. So it helps a lot. So I think
Absolutely. You've already got the basics, haven't you, of
basics, yeah,
learning how the system works, learning,
works, yeah,
how the programs work. So what you're
works.
doing is tagging on the additional responsibilities and
Additional
additional learning at a slightly more drip feeding through the additional responsibility rather than
responsibility.
suddenly turning up and going, right,
Yeah,
this is what you're going to be
to
doing.
do. Yeah. So this is, I think that helps a lot. And that's why I think for me, I think whenever somebody asks, and I just say, I will promote apprenticeship a lot because it makes a huge difference in your personality and slowly you build up. It's not like immediately the responsibility comes on your head because that, as I mentioned, slowly I start doing assessment. Gradually, I'm taking the responsibility. But now, if I'm giving you a very good example, recently, I think my mentor was on a study day, and there's a one patient who is in journal side, and I have to assess that patient so we can bring to my area because that then senior nursing staff member asked if somebody should go from physiotherapy side because that patient need SARA study, profiling bed, so many things we have to check. So my mentor told me I was the only one working in department that day. She asked me, Ki, Bhavna, is it possible for you to go to journal side and check the patient, talk to the physio who is over there, what kind of intervention they are giving to that patient? And firstly, I was saying, and then she was giving me option as well. Okay, don't worry if you can't go. I'll come tomorrow and I can do it, but this patient is due to admit in our side, but the nursing staff want to make sure that what kind of equipment we needed beforehand. So I was like, okay, should I go or not? But then I just said, no, I will go. I decided to go. I checked the with nursing staff in general side, then I speak to physio over there, what kind of equipment that patient needed. Is it possible to admit her today or tomorrow? And yeah, so all those kind of things, you take initiative and you feel like, yes, it makes a difference. And whatever help I give my kind of advice to senior member of nursing staff, and it was quite helpful, and it's really delayed that admission needs to be done same day. So I can see that confidence is there in me. I can do that kind of thing. So
Yeah, I
yeah.
guess, yeah, having worked with patients in the past as well, you've picked up, kind of observed, haven't you, how people react in different
React
situations, and you're
differentiation. Yeah.
gathering all that kind of information. So then when you are doing your assessments, that
Yeah.
can kind of be put into it as well, can't it?
Rating.
Rather than
Yeah.
coming in cold from a university and doing it straight away.
Yeah, because in theory in uni you learn biopsychosocial model, okay, but I think the applying the biopsychosocial model you need a lots of experience in your area and then only. But I think I build up very nicely because now what I'm learning over there I can easily apply in my area. Yeah, that one. Yeah.
So
So,
when you come to your third year, I guess the level of responsibility will increase, won't it,
yes.
again, with the activities that you're doing and the
Yeah.
sort of the assessments.
Yeah, it's
Now,
like
on your
almost.
place, oh,
Yeah,
sorry.
yeah. So it's like almost qualified kind of thing now. We are doing it now.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So on your placements, you're not just in your kind of current ward, are you, where you initially
No, no,
started
no, no.
working? Are you able to go to different areas and experience different sort of
Yeah.
departments for physio?
Yeah. So in my second year, I went to completely different hospital, not in same organization as well, plus different area. Like my first placement was in cardiac rehab, as well as because 3 days I was doing cardiac rehab, 2 days I was in assigned on respiratory ward. So it was like completely different learning for me because you can see if in the mental health or other area, if I'm working, it's completely different way of my job kind of, even especially in terms of pathological knowledge as well. But when you go to different area and placement, whatever theory you learn, in terms of cardiac rehab, respiratory. And that time I didn't know that physiotherapy play a huge role in good rehab in not only cardiac rehab, but respiratory as well. Because I came to know in COVID period of time, like physiotherapists are playing huge role for improving respiratory kind of condition in the patient. So yeah, so those in first, second year, I have done cardiac rehab, respiratory, and as soon as my third year start, I have done in stroke rehab as well in community. So it placement as well makes you develop confidence a lot, and it gives you a right kind of thinking. If suppose in future, if you want to go in some other area, want to join as a job, not continue in same area, I have developed that confidence. I can go and work over other areas as well.
So can you have a placement with children within your
Uh,
course?
it's, particularly myself, I didn't done any placement with the children, but yes, my cohort, they are going in other areas. In terms of, I think university makes sure, I think there's a main areas which needs to be covered in terms of placement. I think MSK,
MSK
respiratory,
is the muscle.
musculoskeletal kind
Yeah,
of rehab program, which is
yeah.
quite common for physiotherapists, most of the. So I think there's some areas they are mainly covered, and because we have a limited time period as we are full-time work as well, and we have three altogether, I think we have four placement in our apprenticeship journey. So I have done so far, I have done two, and now I'm doing in summertime, I'm going to do my third placement. So it's all depend, and I think one, they give you preference as well.
So you
Which
kind of can
area?
suggest areas
Yeah.
you might like to
So
look at if you have
can,
a kind
yeah,
of passion for a certain
portion,
thing.
yeah. So
Yeah.
I opted, I think, for women's health. So hopefully if I get it, then it's good. So yeah. Uh, it's not like there's a limitation. If it's available, they can give you in children areas as well. Yeah.
So what would you say, so you've talked quite passionately about what you're doing, but what would you say are kind of the greatest rewards of working as an apprentice in physiotherapy?
Greatest reward, if I can say, I think there are multiple. In my work area, if I can say in placement, I can have a very good example. Recently in a stroke, not recently, October, I have done in a stroke community where the patient is a 47-year-old male patient who had a stroke, which is quite kind of very young age. Having a stroke is not a good kind of thing. But the same day when I was there, they are doing MDT meeting. And in MDT meeting, one of the occupational therapists, who already done assessment with that patient, they describe that patient as lazy, who doesn't participate in some ideal activities with occupational therapist. So I was listening all those things because this is my first day and I can't means I thought okay, let me listen what. And the same day I have to go with my mentor to see that patient in that afternoon. So we went to see that patient in the afternoon, and I made that patient. We check the gait pattern. We check in terms of physio. We check how he is mobilizing. I check his strength and all that. So in terms of strength and mobilizing, I couldn't find out which side of his body is affected with the stroke. So my mentor was asking question to me, means when the patient was saying, what do you think? And I'm just saying, no, patient have a good ability. Patient can participate in exercise, whatever exercise program we can make it. But when they said lazy, because I know that there is an element of that laziness and all that they talk earlier. So I was thinking, but when we asking to mobilize outside, the patient was pick up the, what you call, uh, blood pressure machine and said, can I measure my blood pressure before going for mobility outside? And I was like, we didn't ask, but this patient asked. And they said, yeah, go on, because we can't stop to the patient. And then he done it, and then he mobilized, I think, hardly 20 meter in distance. And we just say, okay, I'll come tomorrow. And then, so we just finish our session. Or the next day, means same time when we are outside, my mentor saying, what do you think? What is your clinical reasoning behind that and all that? What do you think how this patient can participate and how we can rehab that? So I was saying to my mentor, and it was my first day. I said, okay, tomorrow we are going. Is it possible I can do open-ended question with that patient? Because yes, we done physical assessment, but I think because I have a strong background from mental health side, I was saying something is not, I want to do open-ended question.
So
And
what is open-ended caution?
open-ended question is like when you can open what's going in your mind, what you're thinking at the moment. Like you can ask more deeper kind of, it's like openly you can share your thoughts regarding your family, regarding your well-being. What is, are you worried about your condition? What, so this is kind of things you can ask. So sometime as a physio or maybe whoever the specialist, they just do give, okay, this is the problem, I will cure this problem, and that's it. But for me, I was thinking that there is some psychological element as well. So
So
that's
trying to
why
find the deeper
deeper
understanding of
and
what might be
understand
impacting his
impacting
lack of
and
motivation as
yeah.
opposed to
So
laziness.
yeah, so I was thinking before making any tailored program, I want to do psychological input as well. In that, I want to do open kind of question asking. But luckily, my mentor said, Ki Bhavna, if you are saying, because, sometimes uh, mentor can easily tell me that, but she said, Ki, okay, if you think you can do it. And next day, when I went to that patient and I asked that, and then patient, um, nicely talk to me and I say, I can completely understand you because you have to put yourself in their shoes. Yeah. Okay, I'm in your side. I want to understand what's, and then the patient expressed me that he is worried that having another stroke. And that's why he is limited to do certain things, which he thinks if I'm doing vigorously something else and my blood pressure is high, I might get another stroke. And I
Right.
can
So he's
complete,
worried the physical activity is going to
yeah.
bring another stroke on.
A
Gosh,
stroke,
yeah.
yeah. So that my understanding and my kind of clinical and my mentor was quite impressed. It's like it's really good you find out this because on that basis I can make a tailor make program for that patient that I don't want to start with vigorous exercises. I want to go with his not only physical ability but his psychological ability as well. I have to count. And honestly, in 6 weeks rehab program with that patient, that patient outcome of that result was really good. And patient who is scared with this condition, I know when I was about to discharge, that patient was telling me that, okay, Bhavna, when I get chance, I want to go and work in a stroke ward and voluntary work over there, so I can share my journey. So I, with patient, those who are young, they can inspire with my journey, and then don't afraid that there is a chances we can recover with this. So I was so impressed. The person who is scared, and that was a big reward for me as well. I put in my reflection as well. It's like learning on my work, apply on my placement. Its combination works so well. And it's not only one patient, there's another patient as well, where a different diversity patient, where the language was the barrier. And somehow, yes, it might be my luck of chance, I managed to do with my language as well. I was like, and I was done with, I think, occupational therapist. And she was saying, Bhavna, you think out of your box. And then we managed to rehab together. So yeah, there's a couple of wonderful stories, and I always feel good to like, wow, this is good. If it's a rewarding kind of thing, I know I'm getting paid and all that, that is different, but this is the actual reward for me. Yeah.
Because you can genuinely see the
See
impact that
the impact. Yeah.
your support had on that individual, can't you?
Yeah. So
And
that,
maybe if they were with someone else, would they have been able to tap in the same way as you had and had the same results? Potentially, we don't know, do we? But the fact
yeah.
that you were able to do that, yeah, it's a good feeling,
So
isn't
yeah, it
it?
was yeah. There's a couple of stories, but I know it will take whole day otherwise if I'm sharing. Yes, I
So,
think
what do you think the challenges are of your role?
challenges are sometimes I'm just thinking my team is quite supportive and all that. It's as first of all, I think time management. Yes.
Mm,
First year it was very overwhelmed for me when I'm doing. I think very first, and I'm the person I think going on time, doing things on time. And what happened very first day when I'm going to uni, and I live in area, different area, and uni is almost take 1.5 hours from my place from home to uni.
right.
Although I took lots of time in spare when I was going every time, but very first day it happened, some accident happened on the road, and I was late for half an hour for first day lesson. And you can't believe, as a mature student, I was still crying and I was saying, oh my God, this should not happen because it was not in my hand. Accident happened. So time kind of thing, time management is so important. And sometimes it is like when you are doing assignment, you have to be very do it in advance time. And I'm the one who always do in advance. So which is like sometimes challenge. I don't leave it for the last moment. If suppose the assignment due date is like a month later, but I think within a 5 6 days, I prefer to finish my work. That kind. So this is a proactive kind of, if you approach, you can do it in personal in terms of learning and all that. There might be some challenges comes like in terms of because I have a elderly my mother-in-law who lives in abroad. I have to look after her as well. So I don't know if I have to travel. So I have to make sure for that as well. I have to complete my task on time. If suppose I have some challenges comes, I can manage to do that on time. Yeah.
Yeah, because I think one of the really important things is when you are doing the apprenticeship, you are still doing your substantive role, aren't you? You're
Goal
still
as well.
doing
Huh?
your physiotherapy assistant role with the auditional learning. So if you are a bit like me and leave things to the last minute, what can happen is things can snowball out of control,
Slow.
can't they? And you
Yeah.
kind of
Yeah.
suddenly run out of time to complete your assignments, and then the
Yeah.
anxiety around trying
Yeah.
to turn up for the job, do your job well, and then go home and do your assignments is quite,
Right.
like you
Yeah.
say, overwhelming at times, isn't
Yeah.
it?
What? Yeah. At times.
So I think you have to have quite a degree of organization, don't you, to do an
Yeah.
apprenticeship, um,
Yeah, it's
because
well,
of
time
that.
management is so important, very important. If you manage it, because it is when in the cohort we all talk about, and I think I'm the mature student, but the others are youngster. So I'm always thinking, guys, I'm not comparing myself, but still I'm just telling you, you have so much time. You don't have family life at the moment. So do your best. You can do more than what you can do, like, because I have some limitations sometimes, like, as I mentioned, I want to do this, I want to do that. Because sometimes what you want to do in young age means you couldn't able to do it, and now it's coming on you. But sometimes my physical ability as well doesn't allow me to do so many things. You get tired at certain point. But I'm
Yeah.
just saying, you are young, you can do much, and you can flourish more better than me. So yeah, I'm always advising everyone that please take your time and do things. Yeah.
So actually, yeah, that was going to be my next question. What is that kind of piece of advice you would give to, well, if you imagine your 18-year-old self, what piece of advice do you wish somebody had given you?
So first of all, like in 18 years, I will say find out there are lots of options. Uh, don't ever think like that. If I'm asking those kind of question, what will happen? So don't afraid to ask questions, because it's like no question is a wrong question in my opinion. Because if even at work as well, sometime I'm asking question, maybe it's not like yes related to work, but sometime it might be not very relevant, but it's fine if you're asking. In university as well, I'm asking questions, so don't be afraid to ask question. Get help wherever possible, you can get it. Approach to your senior members or your teachers, or wherever you get find help, especially in hospitals as well. Like I was advising my daughter, she is like turning 18 this year. I was saying you just email to different areas to get the work experience. Don't be like shy, oh, if I'm not getting it. If you don't ask, you will not get it. And another one is like confidence comes with experience only. So you do like develop confidence. You just have an experience of certain work. Trust the process, believe in your ability, and you can do it.
Thank you. Yeah, I think it is. It's really important because if you
Yeah.
don't have confidence, it's just pushing yourself to be open to those opportunities as they arise rather than shying away from them. It's sort of grabbing
Yeah.
hold of them, isn't it?
Yeah, because honestly, I'm telling you, the way I'm like, I'm the one, I think, give different coming from different diversity, mature student. You can see that I have a multiple kind of where I can stop myself easily. But in university, I think most of the lecturers know me very well now, because mine is like proactive. Okay, there was a one project which I didn't tell you, but yes, we have some project to do for university, and I just took an initiative. I said, okay, this project we talk about menopause, and nobody in the future earlier talk about menopause for that project. But I said, no, I'm doing this with another cohort. We done a menopause kind of project, and really I got awarded with very nice, wonderful marks. And I was thinking it's really, even for placement as well, honestly, if you do well, flexible, time management and flexibility is very important, Kate. Very, very
Yeah.
important. I know sometimes you have to do over the time. When mentors are working for longer period of time, you have to stay, but it's not for whole time you're doing it. If it's for shorter duration of time, please do it if time permits. Flexibility is also very, very important. If they can join the group wherever, please be flexible as well. Yeah. Yeah.
Lovely. Well, I think that's it. So thank you very much for joining us today.
Hopefully it's helped you, Kat. I don't.
Absolutely, it's given us a lot of food for thought, and I think it's really showing in a lot more detail of kind of your role and responsibilities and actually the benefits of doing an apprenticeship. So thank you very much for joining
No,
us today.
most
It's
welcome,
much
Kat.
appreciated.
Most welcome, Kat. Yeah. Nice
Okay,
to meet
thanks.
you. Thank you. Thanks. Yeah. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.